Okay, this is the other decision statement that we talked about in Chapter 4. It's called a switch statement. Usually you use it if you have 3 or more decisions to make, and it alleviates using a nested if, but it only is good for certain kinds of execution. So in this one, this particular program, we're designing a program that will use the switch statement that will allow a user to see descriptions of 3 different television models. So the user will input the model number, and that will determine which part of the switch statement will execute and what the user will see. So I'm going to start a new project, and I'm going to call this one Chapter 4 Video Switch. And I do have to set my empty project by clicking Application Settings and Finish, and then I'll have to add a program file, a .cpp, which I'll call main. I'm ready to go, and in this one we really have only one header that we need, and that's IOStream, in order to get our input and output from the keyboard into the console window. And I'm using standard namespace. So I'm ready to start my main function. And I only have one variable in this, and it's an integer variable for the model number that the user will input. So I'm going to prompt the user and tell them exactly what it is they're supposed to enter. So they're entering a model number for a television, and I'm going to tell them what those values should be. No guarantee that they will actually use them, but at least we've told them what it is we want to see. And I'm going to put a line feed in here so that it prints on the screen in my window. Be sure it fits. It's a pretty long input line. And then read it in using my cin statement, which leaves me ready to do my switch. It begins with the word switch, and then in the parentheses what variable you're using to base the switch on. Then it is a block statement, so it has to start with a brace, and each instance of my switch variable starts with the word case. So the first one here is case 100, and then you put a colon. Then you can put as many lines as you want, and you can start on the line that has the case or underneath it. But if the user enters 100, then we want to output that they are actually looking at model 100. And I'm going to do a line feed here. Model 100, which has a remote control, a timer, and stereo for the price of $1,000. And I do want to do a line feed after that as well. And for every case statement that you have, and I'm going to tab over just so it lines up a little better, you want to include a break, which means that if that line is executed, then you break out of the switch structure and fall to the end of the switch. So my next one is case 200, and actually once I type the case in here, the compiler automatically moves things back and lines them up for me. It's easier at this point to copy the line above it, so what I'm going to do is to copy this line, and then I'm going to edit it once I paste it, because it's a good bit of typing. This is model 200. It has a remote control, timer, stereo, plus picture-in-picture, so I can just do comma here and delete that out. And picture-in-picture. And the price on this one is $1,200. Again, I do need a break though under there to be sure that if I execute through the switch with that one, it will execute to the end of the switch. If you leave the break out, every line in every case will actually execute. So now I'm ready for my third choice, which is case 300. And again, it's basically the same line as the previous one, so I'm just going to paste it. It was still on the clipboard, and just edit the changes here. It's model 300. It has everything plus an HD flat screen. So I'm going to take the handout here. Picture-in-picture, VIP, and HD flat screen. And of course the price is more. This one is actually $2,400. So all I did was copy and paste there and just do some editing instead of retyping it. Again, I need a break. The switch also allows us to do a default statement, which the case for that is default, followed by a colon. And this is typically an error message indicating that the user has done something wrong. So in our case, we're going to put incorrect model number entered. Like that. And then I do want a line feed at the end of this one as well. And that finishes our switch block, so I can close the braces off there. And I'm going to do an extra end L so that my pressing a key to continue is down a line. And then return 0 because I'm finished with main, and close my brace for main. So we're switching the model, and the switch variable that's here can be any integral. So I'm going to go ahead and build this and hope for a successful build. Once I get that, then I can run it so you can see what it looks like. Build succeeded. So I can go to the debug menu and start without debugging. We'll put in a model number 200 here. And here is model 200. If I run it again, just to show you what happens when the default is executed, I'll put in a value other than one of those. So 500, and it gives me incorrect model number. So that's the switch, the other structure that we can use for decisions.